Hello everyone and welcome down to episode 141, part 1 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, not in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and this guy,
Cameron Blake,
not in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Where do we find ourselves this time, Cameron?
Not sure. Looks like Zion National Park. Oh, he's dropped the mic.
No, it's fine.
Zion National Park or Zion?
Zion National Park.
In the beautiful state of Utah.
So Cam and I have headed off and we're on the other side of the world on one of Cam Blake photography tours, all linked below, of course. Headed off a few days ago out of, met in Melbourne at the airport.
We did. We sat on the plane for 14 long hours.
Well, first of all, we sat on the tarmac for 45 minutes.
We sat on the tarmac for an hour, then 14 hours flying over to LA, straight off an all-nighter into a 4-hour drive from Vegas, LA to Vegas.
Yeah.
Few days in Vegas, which were pretty quiet, uneventful.
Not a lot happened.
Not much happened, no. Then we're here. First day, we've left Vegas today, and we are now, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see by the awesome light what time it is.
Yep.
And we're just having a little mini session to start it off, just blow the cobwebs out a bit.
Now, if this editor here gets things going, I should have this live at 5 o'clock Australian time. So I've got a few hours up my sleeve to get all this happening. So we'll see how we go. How many on the trip, Cam?
We have 8 wonderful people on this trip, plus yourself, myself, and Daniel 5-Star Dan, who got a great shot of a Mexican on a horse. Did you get that?
I might have.
You might have.
I might have just had myself a little photogasm.
On your head.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. They follow me everywhere.
Yeah.
That one's from Australia. It hitched a ride on the Qantas plane. Vegas. Okay, that's my first. It was actually my first time in the States. So why not start there?
It's one place to start. It's one place to go wrong too. We had a good couple of nights. It was good. We had one big night.
We did.
Which may have resulted in a roller coaster at midnight.
Cam loves roller coasters apparently, and we decided to get him on one.
I don't mind them, just not when I've got a gut full of piss.
Yes, thanks to Mal, who's actually on this trip, for donating beer to us. Linked in description. We managed to have a good time in Vegas. Really briefly, Cam and I played golf in America. I don't know if you've played golf in America before. I don't reckon.
I don't think I have, no.
There you go. So we both did a first by playing golf in America.
We did.
And we have a live studio audience. We've got Steve up here waving hello. And that was a massive day. That was so cool because we got to play with a couple of Americans
a couple of New Yorkians.
Who were lovely guys. So shout out to them who are no doubt probably not watching, but that's fine.
Joe and Eric.
And while we were on the course, good old 5-Star Dan sent us a message and said, "Hey, I've just scored us tickets to the ice hockey."
That was incredible. That was the call of Vegas.
It was the call of Vegas, absolutely. To nail us tickets to the LA
Kings and the Knights.
And the Vegas Knights, that's right. So we surrounded ourselves with Americans and we got right into the ice hockey culture. It was absolutely sensational. Way better than I thought it would be, to be honest.
But this is not a sports show, is it?
Seems to be.
It's a golf show.
Yeah, that's right.
How good. The golf was great. The hockey was incredible.
Yeah.
Vegas is just nuts. It's a crazy place.
Yeah,
but I'm actually really happy that we're here now.
Yeah.
I feel like my head's a bit clearer.
Yeah. We're into the trip and this is just. So what I'm going to do for this episode of the podcast is we're going to record a bit from here, and then we'll do a bit from our sunset tonight. We'll put that up as part 1 of this, and throughout the week, hopefully we can keep posting pretty regularly to the podcast. So Zion National Park.
These are the 3 patriarchs. So there's 1, 2, and another one behind the tree there. So this is a nice little cobweb blowout session. The light is just stunning. We've got another hour and a bit before sunset.
Yep.
Beautiful little stream here. There's people having picnics, people walking. It's a lovely spot.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It looks like the weather's going to behave itself. The clouds have rolled in, not rolled in, but the white wispies have come in, which are really helping compositions and not just boring blue skies here. So it's a good spot.
Yeah. So on the bus up to the next spot.
And, we're going. Are we going to go on the bus from here and head up, or are we going to go back?
No, the bus. We've got to go back out to get the car to go up to the.
Correct. That's
Subway for lunch today. Shout out.
Hello, Phil from Subway in
Hurricane.
In Hurricane. We promised he'd get a shout out on the show if he subscribed. I'm sort of wrangling subscribers left, right, and centre, but it's fun. It's they work out pretty quickly where we're from, and they're pretty happy with that, I think, for the most part.
So, question without notice.
Yes.
What's your impression of the States so far?
Look, I mean, your head spins. You do a long flight, you get off a plane, like the build up to it, you're coming, all that sort of stuff. And then when you hear, I really am a big fan of getting my bearings. So we did a walk along the strip, which was great in Vegas, just so you northeast, southwest, where everything was. Once you do that, you start sort of, getting your feet planted, you get your head straight, and it's full on. Of course, I'm one of these kids who have always watched movies from America and all this sort of stuff. And then once you hear it's pretty much everything that you've seen in the movies. But the thing that's doing my head in is you look up at these incredible landscapes, and it just looks like they've been painted there. Like, they're just it looks like we're on a Hollywood set at the moment. It's even got the misty sort of the haze across it, and it's not a bad spot. If we stand back, Cam. There we go. Look, see, let people actually... Gee, look how wide this lens is. We could be way over here and do this podcast. This is quite good. Great. Amazing so far. But as I say, very early on in the trip.
Yeah. It's been great so far.
Yep.
Good group as well. Everyone's sort of gelling really well on the way out from Vegas. And we had a quick catch-up last night over a drink or two, and we're out here. And
so logistics-wise, we've got 3 vehicles, so 3 SUVs, as they call them, and... very, very comfortable, and the accommodation so far has been very comfortable as well. Yeah,
and the one thing I'm amazed, and this is my 3rd trip to the States, is that you hear all these things that Americans are, they're really obnoxious and all this kind of stuff, and when you get here though, they're nothing but polite and nice to you. We haven't come across anyone that's been rude, obnoxious. The hockey the other night,
it was incredible.
My God, that was funny. Playing around like the Americans behind us, and as soon as they heard that we were Australians, the banter just started in all good fun. So the people are lovely, the locations are great, the accommodation's good.
Yep.
Everyone's still alive on the trip after the first couple of hours, which is generally good.
So far, so good. Yeah, the hospitality is incredible. One thing that we're already noticing, and it's still relatively early, is the fall colours are starting to come through here. You can see behind us how green those leaves are, and I dare say we're going to start having them turn yellow at some point. So anyway, this is part 1. We'll tune in from the sunset somewhere. We might set something up and do a little part 2 from there.
This is where we go.
That's right.
He comes back and we're welcome back.
By the magic of editing, we'll see you at sunset. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
So by the magic of editing, here we are at our sunset viewing point in Zion. Very, very busy spot. However, I'll show you in a second. So you can see a lot of cars coming down behind us here, heading down. Had their day up in the park. So we're being nice and careful here. But this is why we're here. There we have the sunset viewing spot. So I think Cam is calling out for my assistant. So we've got everyone here lined up, checking it all out. Hello, everyone, and welcome down to the second part of tonight's podcast that we've just recorded about 10 minutes of.
It's actually the 3rd part.
We just recorded 10 minutes of, and now we've got to start it again because someone didn't have their camera in the right mode.
What mode did you have the video?
What mode did I have my video camera in?
Yeah.
Photo taking mode.
Good.
Yeah, anyway. Well, as you've just seen, I've just thrown up a bit of footage from the sunset tonight, and... we sort of had to cut and be really quick there because Cam was very, very busy teaching up there at beautiful Zion National Park, and the sunset kind of came out of nowhere.
It did. So we've just done all this. All right, let's do it again. Yeah, sunset was good, and you know what? It was a good lesson tonight because a few people were like, "Oh, it's done." Like, hang on. Even 5-star Dan was like, "Hold."
Yes.
And then we held, and it flared up, went pink.
Yes, we had exactly. I had a couple of people like, I don't think we got any colour tonight. I said, let's just wait and see. And it to be honest, it didn't really like maybe a 30% chance, and then whack.
Yeah, and it came off. So and we were in the right spot as always. As we say, it wasn't hard. You could have been anywhere in that national park tonight. It would have been okay.
Yeah.
So no, it was good. We've had a good day. We've driven quite a way from Vegas to be here. And we did a little bit of an afternoon session that you guys saw.
Yes, that's right.
And then we caught the bus back out, and then we jumped in the car and went to the sunset spot, which you guys just saw us with.
One thing I didn't mention...
on the first take of this, second take?
No. When we were down by the river was... we had a bunch of horses come through.
That's right.
Which was absolutely crazy. Like I think they were like tour guides, and they were bringing the horses back to stable.
You've pretty much got shot of the tour already.
I don't know how. I mean, it was a classic example of having a camera ready at all times because Dan yelled out further down the track and said, "There's horses coming." I couldn't quite understand him. I didn't know what he meant.
Well, he's hard to understand.
That's right. And then I turned around. All of a sudden, here's these horses. I'll put the photo up on the screen, and it was just kicking up all this dust, and it was the redwoods all over again, Cam.
It was, yeah. They had that light there. I followed up Tim. Tim's one of our customers, lovely guy, but he's notorious for just disappearing up mountains and tracks.
Right.
So I made a point of making sure I followed him.
He was the first person to be late today to the meeting.
Yeah,
he was 4 or 5 minutes late.
Yeah, he was 4 or 5 minutes late. Yeah. So we followed him, and then that's when all the horses came running around. But but it was good. Yeah, it's been good so far.
Yep. So we spent the evening shooting the sunset, and we've come down for dinner. We're here at Jack's Sporting Bar in beautiful Springdale, Utah.
That's right.
And it's an awesome place. American food. My goodness.
I think I'm just going to eat salad. I know that people like. hang on. Just
Everyone's laughing, Cam.
Just let it hold for 10 seconds while the laughter simmers.
That's right.
I'm going to try and eat smaller. I can't eat the meals here; they're too massive.
It's crazy.
Like I just had like a little club sandwich there, and I struggled. So
yeah. But number one ticket holder Mal ordered nachos, and there was enough nachos there for all 11 people on the trip.
I reckon this could be a controversial comment, but I reckon he had enough nachos to feed the Mexicans coming over the border here. There's no Mexicans around here. Am I going to get the point of saying
there is an SUV parked over here.
Yeah, there's enough nachos for everyone coming over there. Every alien.
It was, the meals are just crazy. Anyway, back to the photography. We've got the horses, and then we went up for the sunset. Yeah. But we've had a couple of people come a little bit underprepared for this trip, would you say, Cam, even though all the information was there for them?
A little bit underprepared, yeah. Not majorly underprepared, but just little things like filters and bits and pieces. But we tried to do a Amazon order.
Yeah, we tried to get an Amazon order to the hotel.
8,000 Amazon trucks. Surely they all come through here.
But they couldn't get them here for another 5 days. So luckily, me, had a 72mm circular polarizer spare in my bag. Mm-hmm. But we are looking for a 77mm circ pole.
So if you have a 77mm...
Go ahead and just send it over to us here in Utah. That'd be awesome. Post. Yeah, that's right.
But it always happens. People forget things. They get excited, or they try and pack everything in, and then they forget sort of essential stuff. But everyone's doing all right.
Yeah.
Again, tripods. I've already noticed tripods are a problem for people.
They do become an issue, but of course, we need them. We're landscape photographers. We're we're shooting well into the evening, so you've got to have some stabilisation. So.
And you weren't going to get that sunset handheld. You needed a tripod.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because you use your iPhone.
Well, where we were, like in the shade of the valley and places like that. So that was pretty awesome. But just a little bit more talk about the polarizer, because you and I differ a little bit when it comes to polarizers.
We do. Dan actually asked me before when he walked in the room. He goes, "Brendan doesn't use a polarizer much." And he goes, "Why is that?" And I said, "Ask him."
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so why
Dan, because you're probably the only person listening to no.
So yeah, we do differ a bit on that. I like to leave mine on
at all times.
Pretty much, I leave it on until the day ends. Really.
Yeah.
Unless it's severely vignetting, then I would take it off.
Yeah. Okay.
But you take yours off pretty early.
Yeah, I do. I'm not a massive fan of the light penalty that you get with a polarizer. It does cost you a couple of stops of light, particularly when you're already battling with low light. But I find for the landscape stuff, we put a couple of photos up before of the sunset. In that particular area, there's not a great deal of glare and reflection that you need to eliminate anyway. Over water and that sort of stuff, I totally understand. But I was finding personally, and I was showing one of the clients as well, twisting the polarizer, like showing them in what it does in low light, and it was negligible, the difference between polarization and no polarization, except you don't get that light penalty, and you don't necessarily have to boost the ISO to keep shooting, particularly if you're doing it handheld.
Well, if you're on a tripod then, though, that light penalty is pretty redundant.
True.
Yep. I found, maybe we see things differently, I don't know. Because I had my
I hope so.
I had my polarizer on tonight, and I could see a distinctive adjustment to the face of those cliffs. But with the skylight hitting those cliffs.
Yeah, and you might be right, and maybe I didn't have a wide enough angle lens on to pick that up. That is possible, and that's right. You're looking at reflected light, so you might get better cliff colours and things like that. But as I say, I'm just not a huge fan of how much. What it costs you in terms of light. But what I did, and I say this every trip, it blows my mind how common it is. I'll ask a customer, have you got a polarizer on? And they'll say yes.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, have you twisted the end element on that polarizer?
Does it twist?
That's right.
Yeah.
Apparently it twists to give you more or less polarization. And it's uncanny how many people go, oh yeah, I keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, my opinion then is, why are you even using it?
Yeah.
You're using it like a half a tool.
And a lot of people, the next thing is I can't see the effects that it's having.
Yep.
And I think sometimes people try it a couple of times, go, oh, it's not working.
Yep.
I'll take it off and not leave it on anymore. Where other people just leave it on and go, I don't know what it does, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, that's right.
So even still, it's still going to give you a bit of contrast and saturation adjustments.
Yeah, it'll help, but nowhere near as much as if you... Now, the pro tip, camera, I did it again. Down South Photo Show...
recording?
We are.
Yeah, good.
Down South Photo Show pro tip is... What was I going to say? When you've got your polarizer on,
Yes.
take your lens hood off.
This is where it stopped recording last time, isn't
Right,
it?
take your lens hood off, because what I'm finding is a lot of people have got polarizers with lens hoods and they can't reach the end element to twist
That's
it.
right.
So, particularly in low light when the lens hood is redundant.
Yes.
Good word tonight. That was your word.
Redundant.
So I've used it twice already. When the light's low and you're not using your lens hood, take it off.
And
Get it
take
out of there.
Or spin it back the other way, or away you go.
Yep, exactly.
Some lens hoods have that little window that you can put your finger through and adjust.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is that what that thing's for?
Yeah.
I've always wondered.
Really?
You learn something new every day.
Pro tip from a pro to a pro.
It's because I barely use polarizing filters.
That's why they have the little thing in there. You can little window so you can move your polarizer without sticking your hand in. But it's a funny topic, polarizers. I like them and I use them a lot. You're a bit different, which is cool.
Yep.
But there is a bit of misinformation around how they work sometimes.
Yep.
And how people use them or don't use them.
Yep.
But I think what we're going to see, especially in Zion here, is where the polarizer really excels, because you've got this orange sandstone red cliff with blue skies behind it, and when the greens, like another classic example is today when we first got to that first spot, just on the corner we were shooting one of those three patriarchs.
Yes.
And there was a tree in front that was green.
Yes.
And the polarizer took every single bit of glare out of every...
That's
it
right.
went deep green.
It made it proper green.
So it does have its benefits.
I think it almost made it like a fluorescent green. Like it was
it
great.
makes it a good green.
Yeah. So the other side of polarization as well is it can be quite difficult when you're in the field if you're using a polarizer, because it's bright, sunny, contrasty conditions. It can be quite difficult to see your screen. Yeah. So put your camera up to your eye and use the camera's eyepiece to adjust your polarizer. Generally, you're going to get a much better look at it. We did that exact thing today with Monica. She was. We were looking at a scene and it was like, are we getting any polarization here? Then we put up to our eye, twist it. Oh, well, there it is. Then you can really see it.
Here's a controversial thought.
Controversy?
Fuji did it already. Take the back screen off cameras, or just put the histogram and a little screen only, and nothing else.
And just use the eyepiece.
Like, what do we need? The screen just shows you what you're shooting in.
Yep.
You can see it through the eyepiece.
Yep.
It just shows you what your composition looks like. You can see it through the eyepiece.
Yes.
And you would spend less time fluffing around the back of your camera.
You would, and I think everyone knows the counter argument to it, and that is
flip screen, hold it.
Flip screen, hold it higher, hold it lower, all that sort of stuff, which has been a game changer in photography, being able to see a live screen. Keeping you up, son?
Keep it tight.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm with you insofar as it can be sometimes more of a distraction than anything.
Yeah.
And also the smudge from your nose.
Yes. Yeah. Or when the smudge moves your focal point, or your nose moves your focal point.
Yeah, that's right. 'Cause with the touchscreen autofocus, and you moved it with your schnozzer.
Yeah. But we spoke about a lot of things tonight, where especially exposure compensation and things like that. That was a bit of a new thing for a few people.
Yep.
And just getting them used to reading that histogram and understanding that relationship between the dynamic range and histogram, which we did really well tonight, because when that light dropped off, the histogram just squashed right up.
Yep.
And I think people started to get, okay, the longer we wait, the better that sort of light gets together. And
correct.
Yep. So that was good. That was a good little lesson on day one.
So what you're saying there is getting more even light, as opposed to the contrast that you had before the sun went down.
You're not getting as much dynamic range, I guess.
Yeah.
Between your highlights and your shadows, and it just softens things down a bit. So
yeah. So what when we're shooting sunsets, I go out, and you get into position. We say this a lot, get into position early, you know where you want to shoot, particularly a place like this when we're under a fair bit of time pressure, because we don't, we've got to be at different places for each sunset.
Yeah.
What should we be looking for, in your opinion, when we get to a location? We haven't even got the camera out of the bag. What are we looking for?
The first thing I'm looking for is where the sun's going to go.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good tip for sunset.
Yes. And what's the best way to do that?
Know your bearings.
Yep.
Google Maps are good.
Google Maps are very good.
You could use something like photo pills as well.
That's what I was fishing for.
Yeah.
They should be sponsoring this channel.
We've got a sponsor. So
We have.
What I look for as well, and I do this in the lead up to, if I'm at a location, in the lead up to, like even when we're in that little paddock thing around the river today, I already knew where the sun was going to be later on. I'm like, oh yeah, it's going. Just subconsciously, the sun's going down over there. Okay, that's cool. So if I was going to be in that field, I knew where the sunset light was going to be. But so the first thing I look at is, okay, where is the sun going to go down? And when it goes down on that angle, what's going to get touched by the light? What's going to get lit up? What's going to fall in shadow?
Yeah. Now I find that this is a big one. So people will get to a sunset and go, "That's where the sunset is."
Yeah.
And
I got to shoot the sunset.
This is the sunset.
Yeah.
It's what it's lighting up.
That's right.
Is the big
well,
one.
most of the shots I took tonight were opposite.
Correct. Looking exactly. In fact, to the point where I think I was still helping Monica at that point, and we were facing the wrong way, and I kept glancing back, but nothing was happening. Then all of a sudden, whoa, it's kicking off. Yeah.
So I think I don't barely ever shoot directly into the sunset. It's usually side lighting, or if the sun's maybe obstructed by something, you might go that way. But
that's right. It's the subject that's being lit.
But those cliffs that were opposite the sunset looked incredible. They were lit up, and we had a little bit of pink and purple behind there.
How big are they? Like it's big.
It's a big place.
Like the mountains are. They're more abrupt, like they just bang, and the sheer cliffs are amazing here.
Yeah,
that's what struck me, but then of course the colour, like the oranges, and they go from like white to orange. Yep. There's like purpley colours. It's
there's
crazy.
Reds, purples, maroons, the whole lot.
Yeah,
and that'll be a lot of it for the next few days while we're here.
Yep.
And then you get out to Bryce Canyon, and it's all hoodoos and weird, like it's real bright orange.
What's a hoodoo?
A hoodoo's like those little stacks.
Okay,
they're
cool.
actually called a hoodoo.
Right.
Like the hoodoo gurus, but
right. Okay. What's
and
my scene?
Then we get into Moab with arches, and it's a bit more back to that sandstone sort of colour. But yeah, it's incredible. Hey?
So what I found, so getting back to setting up for sunsets, it was quite uncanny actually. I just watched everyone get out of the cars, and we've got 8 photographers and 3 guides. Yeah. Everyone got out of the cars, and they all had their tripods, and they all just set up their tripods. Yeah. Like they went, bang, set up the tripods. In fact, I think 6 of the 8 people instantly mounted their camera to the tripod.
Yep.
And I grabbed 2 of them and I said, "Why'd you do that?" It was still broad daylight. Yep. Not broad daylight, but it was getting towards sunset.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, well, this is okay. What have you just done? You've just anchored yourself."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did, and it's hard as well. Like you sort of visualize the shot you want at sunset.
Yeah.
Like that massive view we had.
Yeah.
That'd be great, all lit up.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, well, I'm 20 minutes before I need to do that shot.
Yeah.
So it is tricky. Like I think what I normally do is I set my tripod up and have a look at the shot I'm going to do. Then I take my camera off.
Yes.
And even if I'm shooting auto ISO, I'll go around and just take some shots, just so I'm not nailed to that, angle.
And I mean, I guess people get in this sort of vein of thought where it's like, well, I'm going to take photos here, so I'm going to use my tripod, and they give up on 45 minutes, an hour of amazing light for all around them.
But then on the flip side, look at Peter Dombrovskis.
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah.
He set his camera up for hours in one spot and waited. Ben Horn does the same thing.
So the question I've got then, all right, this is a question without notice. Do you think Dombrovskis would have been a better photographer today?
Oh, Jesus.
That's not a bad one. I know it's impossible to say.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have improved.
You think he achieved what he achieved because of the equipment that he had at the time?
Yeah. I think his eye and his talent and his knowledge of that equipment was what made it. Okay. I think in digital, I think he would have shot more.
Yes.
And his strike rate would have gone down a lot.
Plummeted. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So, and that's the beauty of film, is that you have to slow down.
And that's where I'm coming from, because no one here is shooting film. We're all shooting digital. So why, when you're only here for such a limited amount of time, why would you anchor yourself like that and just go, this is the shot I'm after?
Yeah.
When you could, like you said, leave your tripod there. Now, the only caveat to that is if it's a really popular lookout.
Yeah, you might not have the room.
Exactly. Yeah. And you might as well stake out your spot and stay. And we've had a couple of them on our tours. So Great Ocean Road,
was a good one,
we had to lock ourselves into the 12 Apostles view because there's a million people there. And I reckon here that's going to happen a bit.
It might happen,
particularly in Zion.
Yeah, it might happen tomorrow morning.
Yep.
If we're up there early. I don't think so, maybe, but
Okay.
But it's a tricky one. Like, I think also you've got to come with a mindset. I try and teach this as well. Like, I'm coming to this sunset spot. I'm not going to take one composition. I try and look at compositions in different directions.
Yep.
So if the light kicks off behind me,
Yep.
awesome. If the light kicks off behind that way, awesome.
Yep.
Or if it's out there, I've got shots lined up ready to go.
Yep.
And you can still do that with your tripod. Just pick your tripod, bang, that's the next shot I thought of, and
Yep.
you go and then bring it back. But
Yep.
you're right, some people just sat there, set it up and went, what now?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, look at all this beautiful light behind us.
Yeah.
Oh, the iPhone. No, don't get your iPhone.
Yeah.
Get your proper phone. Okay,
Well,
mate.
yeah, well, and not to be, I don't know.
Go and say it.
No, like you don't have to go and buy a second camera, but having two bodies
Yeah.
is really handy. If you this is this is set up one. This is going to get that. Now I'm going to grab the other camera and go for a bit of a walk, or if you can.
Yeah.
Because what I did tonight. Once everyone was sort of settled in and fine, I was like, okay, I'll get a bit of time to myself here and take a few shots. I went to monochrome,
Yep.
and I was shooting at one point, believe it or not, at 16,000 ISO.
Yeah, I leave my Leica now on auto ISO.
Auto ISO, yeah. Will that crank out to 16,000 though, or is it
It's
auto ISO capped?
128,000.
Yeah, but aren't they capped to a certain?
I haven't capped it.
Okay, cool.
But, like, really, the noise is fixable.
It is fixable.
Yeah. And it's not bad to start with.
No,
So-
that's right. And yeah, I was just picking out a few little comps, but along the way, showing the clients that are with us, hey, look at, and it just gets you to look at things a little differently, zooming into areas and things like that. So
Something else that's tricky on these trips as well.
Yep.
Is those? It's almost an installed FOMO when people go to these new places. Like, okay, wow, we're here. Okay, I've got to get shots. Bang, 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 bang.
Yep.
Like, there's no rushing involved, and we try and slow people down. But the human nature is, oh my God, I'm here. It's incredible. This is an incredible place. I've got to shoot something.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
When really they should be saying, oh, I've got 3 days here.
Yeah.
Let's just get in my groove and do
Yeah.
it instead of rushing.
And another camera and photo pro tip: if you go on
down South Photo one.
3 times,
How many tides? How many drinks?
how many tides have I had?
How many tides?
There it is.
It's been
It's been a day.
it's that Vegas night. That's what's screwed us.
It's still hanging in there. What were we talking about? Oh yeah. So if you go on a down south photo show tour or a Cam Blake photography tour or whatever, when you get to your location and there's 8 photographers there, I find a lot of people are a bit like magnet to each other.
stick together.
It's like, oh, he's probably the better, or she's probably the better photographer here. I'll go and see what they're doing.
What are they getting over there that I'm not getting over there?
That's right, and they give up on compositions. And you're right, it's that FOMO thing, and it's human nature. I get it, but it's almost like, they give up on what's right in front of them, and that's almost like they plagiarize other people's compositions.
Yeah. Well, I said that to one of the girls today. I said, don't worry if you're taking people's shots.
Yeah.
Like, you're here, one off. If you see me take a shot, I'll tell you to come and take it.
That's right.
Or if you see someone else, don't go and stand up right in front of them and annoy them.
That's right.
But, once they
Put
walk
your
off,
phone right up in front of them.
once they walk off, feel free to go take the same shot. Like, we don't run tours where it's that much of an ego, where it becomes an issue where someone goes, oh, you stole my shot. That's never going to happen on our trips.
No.
Because we'll make sure it doesn't. But
Yeah, but I think that's also the nature of these trips as well. Is we're all in this together.
Yeah.
We're all, at this point, we're 11 Australians in Utah.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're loving each other's company. It's so far so good. Did I just say that out loud?
It's not one.
Sure, it is night one. But so the plan is that this will go up live tonight, Australian time.
Wow.
I know, I've got to get the laptop out and get editing, but we should be able to get that done. How many hours have I got, Cam?
You have 3 hours.
That's fine.
2 hours.
Piece of cake. I'll get this happening. And then from here on, we'll record what we can and then post it when we can. We will let people know if it's going to go live on the audio channels. It may not. It'll definitely go live on YouTube. It'll go live. It'll go up on YouTube.
Can we just release them at the same time?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not the Beatles. And we can then, pick and choose sort of what we do from here. But we won't, it's not going to be sensory overload for you guys. We just might sneak a couple of episodes in before next week. That's all.
And we'll get 1,000 subs while we're here.
More than likely.
What are we on now?
Someone's been spruiking the channel quite heavily from town to town, hasn't he?
Yes. But you were on a bus today, spruiking it to a complete bunch of
A full busload of people, and I think we got 2 subscribers out of it. How many subscribers are we on, mate?
929.
929. That's not bad.
That's nothing to...
71 to go.
That's another bus tomorrow.
That's right. We'll get that while we're here.
You know what we need to do? We need to create a QR code
Yeah,
and just go, can you scan this and subscribe?
I've
Thanks.
got one.
Let's do it.
I have Down South Photo Show bumper stickers here, and they have a QR code on them.
Yeah, go on there, subscribe. We'll get 1,000 before. I reckon we'll get 1,000 before we leave Zion. I'll have a bet.
Okay.
I'll bet you a slab we're at 1,000 before we leave Zion.
You getting this, folks? Before we leave Zion, that's only 3 days.
Yeah, watch me get to work.
Okay, there you go. All right, you saw it here first. We shook hands on it, and we'll see.
No shout-outs? We've already done the shout-outs.
We will do shout-outs. Oh, we did Paul who gets 2 now.
What about the midget?
Can you use that word?
He did.
True. The guy at Subway who called himself that word.
He goes, did you hear about the midget that walked in the subway? He still works here.
He got a job here and never left. America.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So what do we normally do at this part of the show?
Wrap it up because it's 20 minutes and you want to do 15. And it's the second time we've done it.
That's right.
We'll be back. We'll be back sometime soon with episode 141.2.
Or whatever we end up calling it. This has been episode 141 of the Down South Photo Show, coming to you from Utah, United States of America. We will see you soon for episode 141, whatever we call it.
Let's do about a dog's breakfast.
Well, look, we've got some nice traffic, nice lights behind us.
We
Anyway,
may get shot.
thanks for joining us. We'll catch up with you soon. Bye.